We sat down with Ted Cruz earlier and asked him whether he thought it was time for Republicans to make their choice known, whether they're for Donald Trump or against him.
I think it is a basic choice of what we believe. You know, one of the reasons this week that I announced Carly Fiorina as my vice presidential nominee is to provide a clear choice, a clear contrast to the voters. And I think there couldn't be a clearer choice between Carly and me on the one side, running on issues, running on substance, running on jobs and freedom and security and protecting the American people, versus Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton on the other side. And Donald and Hillary are really flip sides of the same coin. You know, Hillary has made millions of dollars selling power and influence in Washington. Donald has made billions buying politicians like Hillary Clinton. And I will say for Republicans, if we end up nominating, if we end up in the general election having two candidates on the ballot who are both big government, rich New York liberals, we will have profoundly failed this country. Both Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton agree they think Planned Parenthood is wonderful. They both support taxpayer funding for it. I disagree with them on that. They both supported Bill Clinton's law banning many of the most popular firearms in America. I disagree with Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton on that.
Let me ask you then, Senator, if the choice is that clear and has been for some time, why have 10 million people voted for Donald Trump? That's many millions more than you. He's got 300 or so more delegates. I mean, were those people confused about the choice? Did they miss something?
Well, listen, early on, Donald did well when there were 17 candidates because he unified his support. He has an impassioned minority behind him. And when everyone else was diffused, he won a lot of early states. And then he just had a good week winning New York and the adjoining states, so he did well close to home, and the media reacted with breathless excitement. What I can tell you is prior to New York, in the 3 weeks that preceded it, we saw 5 states in a row that voted: Utah, North Dakota, Wisconsin, Colorado, Wyoming. 1.3 million people voted in those 5 states, and we won landslides 5 elections in a row. And, you know, you ask, are people confused? Listen, Donald Trump is attempting to perpetuate one of the greatest frauds in the history of modern elections, which is he is trying to convince people that he's some sort of outsider. Donald is the essence of the Washington insider. He has been enmeshed in the corruption in Washington. And, you know, John, one of the things that illustrated that powerfully this week was when John Boehner went out of his way to attack me, to call me the devil, and then he praised 2 people. John Boehner praised Hillary Clinton, and he praised Donald Trump. He said Donald was his friend, was his golfing and texting buddy. If you think John Boehner is the kind of leader you want in the Republican Party, then Donald Trump is your candidate. If you think Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid are the kind of leaders you want, Donald Trump is your candidate because he's contributed heavily to John Boehner, to Harry Reid, to Nancy Pelosi, to Hillary Clinton. And in fact, you know, I saw Boehner's comments. I kind of wondered if Boehner was auditioning to be Donald Trump's vice president. You know, a Trump-Boehner ticket would really say the Washington cartel in all its force. One has been funding the cartel. The other has been giving in to Democrats for years, which is why Boehner lost his speakership. We need instead someone fighting for the people and not for Washington.
So, but your theory of how you'll get the nomination relies on you going to an open convention and overthrowing the delegates, the delegate lead that Donald Trump has. In order for that to happen, you can't do that without the help of the Washington establishment that you've just been talking about.
John, here's where we are. Nobody is going to get to 1237 before Cleveland. I'm not going to get there, but neither is Donald Trump. We're going to go to a contested convention. When we arrive in Cleveland, I'm going to have a bunch of delegates. Donald's going to have a bunch of delegates. And it's going to be a battle to see who can earn the support of a majority of the delegates elected by the people.
Let me ask you this, though, Senator. There's no question that you are the establishment's preferred candidate in that open convention competition. You don't deny that, do you?
Of course there's a question. John Boehner, the essence of the Washington establishment,
but he's not the only
called
fellow.
me Lucifer in the flesh, and he said Donald Trump is his texting and golfing buddy. Listen, the Washington cartel, the lobbyists, Donald Trump's campaign is run by Washington lobbyists. His campaign manager is a 40-year Washington lobbyist. His lobbyist campaign manager went and told the heads of the RNC that Donald is just playing a role, that he doesn't believe any of this, that he's just saying what he thinks the voters want to hear, and he will be someone totally different. John, you've known me a little while now. I am the same person yesterday, today, and tomorrow as president I'm going to do the exact same things I've promised to do. We're going to repeal Obamacare, pass a flat tax, lift the burdens on small businesses, bring back jobs and economic growth, bring manufacturing jobs back to this country. Donald changes as the wind blows because the only thing Donald is interested in is Donald, whatever makes him rich. And we've seen the bipartisan corruption of Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump and John Boehner, who sell out their principles. I think the American people want principled leaders who actually have a core set of beliefs.
But if in Cleveland your scenario were to go forward, the person who has millions more votes, that won't change. He will go to the convention. Donald Trump will, with more human being votes, real people, regular folks supporting him. And you are hoping to overthrow that with more delegates. In a situation where delegates over people, won't that lead to riots?
No, it won't, although Donald may do everything he can to encourage riots. You know, overthrow is such a loaded spin word as to bring nothing but chuckles. You know, I can tell you the last contested convention we had in 1976, Ronald Reagan had 1 million more votes than Gerald Ford, but Gerald Ford got the votes of a majority of the delegates. If you look back to the very first Republican convention in 1860, our very first candidate for president, Abraham Lincoln, came into a contested convention, and he was second in the balloting, and on the third ballot, he won a majority. The test is to win a majority, and Donald cannot win a majority. Majorities matter, and it's why Donald wants to change the rules and rig the system. You know, I'll use a football analogy. If you're on the 30-yard line, it's not a touchdown. Donald right now is on the 30-yard line, and he wants everyone to say, hey, the game is over because, you know, I'm past the 50. So what? He cannot earn a majority. And what we've got to do, you know, actually this week illustrated something powerful, John. If you contrast the people who are standing with me, Carly Fiorina, Indiana Governor Mike Pence. On the other side, Donald Trump was proudly trumpeting the support of Mike Tyson, a convicted rapist who served 3 years in prison here in Indiana for rape. And Donald Trump says, well, Tyson is a tough guy. You know what, John? I don't think rapists are tough guys. I think rapists are weak. They're bullies and they're cowards. And Donald may be really proud of his support from a convicted rapist. I'm proud of the support of Carly Fiorina and Governor Mike Pence, and Republicans across this country are coming together saying, we don't need a bully. We don't need someone who yells and screams and insults. We need someone who understands how to bring jobs back to this country, how to defend the Constitution and Bill of Rights, and how to keep America safe from our enemies, especially radical Islamic terrorism.
Right, Senator Cruz, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks so much.
Thank you, John.